Hi writing class, I hope you're all doing well. So welcome back to another lesson. Today's lesson will look exactly the same as yesterday's lesson. So in part A, you're going to have to punctuate the sentences. And then in part B, we'll write the beginning of the story together, and then you have to write the second half of the story on your own. So let's look at part A. It tells us that the writer forgot to punctuate some of the sentences that tell the exact words that somebody said. The writer also forgot to put in commas in some sentences. Your job in part A will be to read the passage carefully and to put in the missing punctuation marks. So if we look at part A, I'll read the first paragraph with you, and then I want you to read the rest of the passage on your own and put in any missing punctuation. So the first sentence says, Tony, Josh, and Kevin were standing outside a computer store. Right? We don't have to add any quotation marks. There's no exact words. There's a comma added already, so we don't need to do anything with that first sentence. The next sentence says, let's buy our mom a computer, Josh said. Right? So we have exact words that Josh said. So we need to make sure to put quotation marks around those exact words. So for that sentence, we have to put our quotation marks around the words, let's buy our mom a computer. And then, before we have the Josh, we need to add in our comma. So the sentence should say, quotation mark, let's buy our mom a computer, comma, closing quotation mark, Josh said. So remember guys, now I want you to read the rest of the passage on your own and add in any missing commas, any missing quotation marks, or any missing capital letters. So you can pause the video now, and then I'll see you guys in part B. So welcome back to part B. So for part B, it tells us that all of the pictures are blank. So once again, I'm going to tell you the first part of the story. And then you'll use that first part to make up the rest of the story. And then after we do that, you also have some vocabulary words to help you writing your story, and then you have 4 checks. So the vocabulary words to help you write your story are picnic, swimsuits, carried, shortcut, fence, dangerous, rescued, let's, field, and through. So if you're going to use those words, make sure to spell them correctly. And then we have 4 checks that I want you to make sure to look over. So check 1 asks you, is each sentence punctuated correctly? Don't forget to start each sentence with a capital letter. Don't forget to add in your commas, and don't forget to add in your quotation marks around exact words. Question or check 2 asks us, are there any unclear words in your paragraphs? So remember, before we can use the words he, she, they, or it, you first have to introduce the person or the people or the object in the previous sentence. If we don't do that, it'll be unclear. Check 3 asks us, did you write at least 3 sentences that need commas? Remember, a sentence that begins with a part that tells when or where, or a sentence that begins with the word if, although, or unless needs a comma. A sentence that names 3 or more things also needs a comma. And a combined sentence with the word but will also need a comma. So in your story, at least 3 of your sentences will need to have a comma. And then your check 4 asks you, did you write at least 5 paragraphs? Remember, you start a new paragraph whenever somebody new starts to speak. So each time a new person speaks, we have to remember to start a new paragraph. You also have to start a new paragraph when you begin a new part of your story. So let's listen to the first part of your story. Peter and Jason were going to a picnic by the lake. They carried their food and their swimsuits as they walked down the road. Hey, Peter said, let's take a shortcut through the field. It will be a lot quicker. As they walked into the field, Jason said, I think we are making a mistake. Right, so let's write the first part of your story together. So I've written it out here and we'll go through it. So once again, I hope you can see this okay, guys. The first sentence of your story should say, Peter and Jason were going to a picnic by the lake. Right, so once again, your first sentence should be Peter and Jason were going to a picnic by the lake. Your next sentence should say, they carried their food and their swimsuits as they walked down the road. So we use the word they because we've already introduced Peter and Jason in our previous sentence. So once again, your second sentence should be, they carried their food and their swimsuits as they walked down the road. Your next sentence should then say, hey, Peter said. So we need to remember that this is an exact word that Peter said, right? The word hey. So we have to add in our quotation marks around that word. And then we also need to add in our comma after that word. The next sentence, or the next two sentences say, let's take a shortcut through the field. It will be a lot quicker. So those two sentences are also exact words that Peter said. That's why we don't have to start a new paragraph. They can stay in the same paragraph because only Peter is speaking. So we have to remember to put our quotation marks around the word let's, or around the sentences, let's take a shortcut through the field. It will be a lot quicker. Then we need our period and then our closing quotation mark. In the orange, or the next paragraph, we have a new person speaking. That's why we had to start a new paragraph. Once again, in our first paragraph, only Peter was speaking. Now we have Jason speaking. So the next paragraph says, as they walked into the field. And then we have that comma. The reason we put a comma here is because this sentence begins with a part that tells where, right? As they walked into the field. So where were they walking? Into the field. So I need my comma there. Jason said. And then once again, I needed my comma there. And then the exact words that Jason said were, I think we are making a mistake. So since those are exact words, we need to remember to add in our quotation marks, right? So we have our quotation marks. I think we are making I think we are making a mistake, period, and then my closing quotation marks. So now, using what we wrote in part 1, I want you guys to make up the rest of your story. So once again, I'll read over the first part of our story together, and then I want you guys to use the 4 checks and to use your key vocabulary words and your creativity to finish off the rest of the story. So once again, what we wrote together was, Peter and Jason were going to a picnic by the lake. They carried their food and their swimsuits as they walked down the road. Hey, Peter said, let's take a shortcut through the field. It will be a lot quicker. Then we started a new paragraph because a new person was speaking. As they walked into the field, Jason said, I think we are making a mistake. So here it is. You guys can pause the video if you can't see it well. And then I want you guys to finish off the rest of your story. So keep up the awesome work, and I'll see you in our next lesson.